Ready to go. All right, we are going. It says so. Live. The clock is ticking in the upper right-hand corner. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. Another installment of Get a Clue in 52 with Sue Mathieson. Sue, happy Friday. Take it away. Get us going.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And it's so good to be here with you once again. And I'm super excited because we start a new section today, which is fabulous. But before we get there, I wanted to welcome you, Jeff, founder, instrumental designer of the Integrity Game, which I have here ready to your book, The Integrity Game. And that was our first section leading into, as we started reading our 52 tips for the year, was playing the integrity game, which was all about setting and building the structure of who we are, what are we about, and we've got 10 tips that we had in that section. And then once we've built that structure and we're ready to, and I love the analogy that you always talk about of building a house. You've got the foundation, you've got your frame up. Now you're ready to decorate it, paint it, put your
landscape it,
slant on it,
interior design it.
All of that, all that fun stuff that we then went into in section 2 as we built out our brand. And again, we had 10 tips in that section. As we were moving more into specifics, and just read those first 2 sections apply to speakers and non-speakers alike. Doesn't matter. Anyone listening, anyone watching, there's absolute gold in every one of those tips, no matter who you are. Then section 3, we moved into be fearless as a speaker. And the first 2 sections, first 2 tips in that section, it's not about you and the real fear of public speaking, stood alone. And then we went into 8 steps of fearless public speaking. And that took out that section for us. But in that, which was tip number 27 overall, and gave us the strategy of outlining. But then as we've always said, there is so much in that particular tip. We then broke it out, and that was our section 4 of elements, forms, and functions. And we went through and had 10 tips where we broke that out into all the detail that we went through, which brings us to today as we move into our final section. I can't believe it. It's been an amazing journal section for this year. Section 5, from practice to business. And I love, if you've got the book, you've got the org chart here at the start. And we're going to start at the top at position number 1, who is the owner and shareholder, where we pose the question, is it worth it? Which brings us to tip 41 today. And so, Jeff, if you're ready to go, I will open up with my comments.
Yeah. It's just, I'm ready to go. Well, let me flip to it here. Thanks for that summary. Can you believe it? Sue, I was just going to ask, you got to let me know if you want me to screen share at any point. I saw you holding up the book and I was like getting ready to screen share. Did you want me to show that before we got into the word for word of the tip? Or are you ready to get into it? Or you want to wait for after?
There is, as we're reading through, we do come to the org chart. So yeah, you probably do want to share screen at that point.
Okay, well, I'll hold off for now. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So, Jeff, now that I have, as we've talked about, structural integrity around my speaking, and I've been working on being fearless, I'm developing my brand promises and what needs to happen to deliver them, I'm bursting to get my speaking business started. Problem is, what do I start with? Should I be launching into marketing, or do I focus on getting bookings?
Those are great questions. Here we go. I got to roll up my sleeves, Sue. Are you ready? All right, here we go. Those are great questions, Sue. I have a little model I call, quote, Org Chart 101 that helps us understand the 12 basic accountabilities that all businesses must meet. as clearly as I understand all of these, I personally have lots of room to improve how I meet each of these accountabilities. I'm going to say that again. Sue, as clearly as I understand all of these, I personally have lots of room to improve on how I meet each of these accountabilities. It is a little therapeutic, to be honest, about how difficult it can be to build. So now we're going to get into 4 bullet points here. Bullet number 1, a monetizable skill set, learning how to prepare for and deliver speeches. Bullet point number 2, an income earning hobby, right? Or in other words, getting paid to speak or getting speaking opportunities that generate any revenue. 3, a practice, booking engagements that consistently throughout, or booking engagements consistently throughout a calendar. Booking engagements consistently throughout a business calendar year. Let me say hello and welcome Bayan, who I've tried to add. Did I add Bayan? Bayan was wanting to come in. Bayan, are you here?
She's audio. She's just on audio.
Oh, just audio only. Okay. All right.
Hi, Bayan.
They're multitasking
Hi.
here. All right. So let me just reset. Bullet point number 1, a monetizable skill set. 2, an income earning hobby. 3, a practice. And then 4, a business. I'm trying to demonstrate a progression here, right? We go from I'm not reading word for word, Sue, but I'm just kind of letting everybody know. We go from monetizable skill set to income earning hobby to a practice and then to a business. I want to show a progression. And again, this is in the context of, it's a little therapeutic for me, to be honest, about how difficult it can be to build from 1 to 4, from a monetizable skill to a business. So here we go. So a business that has operational systems, processes, and people other than yourself that are doing the work of meeting all 12 basic accountabilities that we're about to cover. Yes, Sue, we have done a lot of work in covering the 40 tips that got us here. Now we have to have some fun, or we get to have some fun with Org Chart 101. Sometimes I refer to this as the Klubeck 12-step program to be even more silly about how honest we must be in in owning our vulnerabilities when it comes to growing a skill set into a business. So silly, so fun, so playful as we do this honest work, that at the end of each tip in this section, I summarize the jingle of 99 bottles of beer on the wall to make it even more jovial to work through these realities, the 12 accountabilities we see in Org Chart 101. So let me take a deep breath here before we continue on the word for word, right? Because that was a little clunky. I was like reading the tips and then I wanted to admit Bayan, but have we set it up okay, Sue? How is this sounding so far? I just want to make sure I'm letting everybody know we're about to get into 12 accountabilities, right? And it's hard. And I'm being vulnerable and honest, and I'm packaging all of that in silliness with 99 bottles of beer on the wall, because the truth is, as a solopreneur, it's hard to meet all 12 of these accountabilities by ourselves. It's hard to get out of our own way and scale. So I'm going to be very vulnerable and very honest about how tough all of this is. And it's so tough that I don't like calling my business a business. People say, well, Jeff, you have a C Corp, right? And then you have a C Corp that owns an LLC, and that C Corp owns shares. Yeah. Technically, it's a business, but I don't call it a business, right? And let me backtrack a little bit and then reset these 4 steps, setting up a chronological framework. I'm going to read them again a little bit more slower. Is that okay? Number 1,
definitely.
Right? So it says, it is a little therapeutic to be super honest about how difficult it can be to build 1, a monetizable skill set, learning how to prepare for and deliver speeches. 2, an income earning hobby, getting paid to speak or getting speaking opportunities that generate any revenue. 3, a practice, booking engagements consistently throughout a business calendar year. And then 4, a business that has operational systems, processes, and people other than yourself that are doing the work of meeting all 12 accountabilities that we're about to cover. So, Sue, before we resume the word for word of this, I think this is a good opportunity to take a deep breath and pause and have a little dialogue. And I can screen share and get into, because we're at the org chart, and see if we want to jump Bayan into the conversation. I just thought this is a good place for me to catch my breath, take a sip of coffee, welcome Bayan to the conversation, and see if we've set this up properly for what's really important here. That there's vulnerability, there's honesty, there's joviality coming your way to the sound of 99 bottles of beer on the wall. So before we go word for word, hi Bayan, hello Sue.
Yeah, no, definitely there is that growth process, and I think too, when we step back and look at where and ask ourselves the question, where do we sit in each of those 4 spaces in terms of, are we just starting out with a monetizable skill set? It gives us the opportunity, I think, to look at these 12 accountabilities that we're going to work through with a slightly different lens.
Mm-hmm.
I think we shift, particularly as the owner, or, you know, if we're looking at this position 1, the owner or the shareholder in what we're doing, the focus shifts as we move through each of those 4 stages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been mindful of, like I've known we were on our way here. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I've been doing throughout the previous 40 tips has been setting up. Tell me if when nod when this sounds familiar. How many times on the way here for the last 40 weeks have I said, whether you are growing your business through public speaking or
Yes.
whether you're growing a public speaking business, you hear that distinction. So now we get to return to that distinction, whether you're growing your business through public speaking. So in other words, whether public speaking is just meeting accountability number 4 among the 12, or whether all 12 need to be met in order to grow the business, right? So now I get to like string those pearls that I've been, seeding, if you will, throughout the year on those frames and bring that back into our conversation. Let's add Bion back in if we can here. There we go. Maybe audio only, but I am going to go ahead and share the screen now and let people see what we were talking about. So first of all, Sue, can you see my screen? Sue,
yes.
Are you there? All right.
Yes.
So yeah, props to Stella for I just think it's elegant in the way that she designed this, right? Section 5. And then of course, Sue opened up with the prompt, and I've been reading word for word. So these are these 4 stages that we're talking about. Like, hey, monetizable skill set. What's the next stage? Hey, an income earning hobby. Well, what's the next? Like consistently earning income from that hobby. It's still not a business until you meet the 12 accountabilities that are going to make up our next 12 tips. So this is the overview of the section 5. We're finally here. So whether you're going to, use public speaking right here as number 4, as, the primary marketing strategy to lift any business, or whether you're going to build a whole public speaking business and need to make sure all 12 of these are met in a way that builds your public speaking business, this section is for you. I've been looking forward to getting to this. How's that as a setup, as a reframe? Is that all right, Sue?
Fabulous. Yes.
All right. So here we go. Back to word for word then. Let's start with the first one. What do I start with? As I tell all of my coaching clients, in order to turn your practice into a business, you have to start by paying the fee of feasibility. Pay the fee of feasibility. The very first accountability in any business is deciding if the business is worth it. Worth what, you ask? Or worth what, you ask? Yeah. Is it worth the time, money, effort, fits, starts, setbacks, failures, roadblocks, speed bumps, competitors, criticisms, liabilities, pressures, unknowns, and the resulting emotions like stressed, obsessed, worried, overwhelmed, insecure, frustrated, impatient, dread, powerless, and or jealous/envy? Is it worth all that to build and run a speaking business? That question is so simple to understand as it is difficult to answer. So most speakers go into building their business without answering the question: is the juice worth the squeeze? The challenge for this box on the organizational chart is leaping from believing the business is worth it to knowing it is, without making the effort in the middle to verify that it is. That is the pay I'm referring to. Hard, soul-searching work that must be done to know what kind of life you really want, and if a speaking business can give you that life, or what kind of life you want, and if speaking can grow whatever business you're in to that life, or speaking can advance your career. You do the mapping to your own life, but the tip applies. Feasibility describes how easy it is to accomplish something. So the question we must ask or answer straight away is, what do you want your speaking business to accomplish? Why does the business exist? To use the integrity game model, what's the purpose of the speaking business? Without declaring the purpose of your speaking business, we must assume it will be impossible to accomplish what is not been defined. Yet people proceed anyway and struggle predictably. Slightly different from when I asked you to be super honest about why you want to be a speaker. Here I am asking if it is worth it to build, run, grow a speaking business. People get into trouble when their answers to these initial questions of why are too autobiographical, vague, or simply not practical enough to really answer the question, is it worth it? Do any of the following, I'm starting to smile because I know I'm setting up some comedy here, Sue. I'm sorry. Do any of the following statements, do any of the following statements really answer the question, why are you building a speaking business? Oh, goodness. Ready? I just felt like it was time to do something else. I'm too overqualified for any decent jobs out there. I just don't want to work for a boss. Another pattern in your life. I just don't want to work for another boss I don't respect. I've always wanted to have my own business. I'm really passionate about insert hobby here, right? That's one of my favorites, by the way. People have always told me I'm a really good speaker. And Old Faithful, I really want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
The first hard work you must put into your business is paying the pay of feasibility. Describe the life you want, including how you spend your time, who you get to hang out with, where you want to go, what you get to eat, where, drive, see, what you get to have, what you get to give, the memories you want to create, and all the ways you want to be remembered. Bonus if you can imagine how much money you will need to afford that life. Got it? Now, can the speaking business you are building give you that life? I'm not trying to be a downer or a pessimist. I am trying to be such a realist that I don't even describe my own business as a business. I call it a practice because, as we are about to see in the next 11 tips, building a business is extremely challenging and complex, especially if you're building it all by yourself. It will be your initials in every box on the chart. One down. Is it worth it? Okay, 11 to go. And so we can start we're going to cue the music next week, but cue the music. 12 accountabilities on the wall, 12 accountabilities. We've knocked one down, pass it around. 11 more accountabilities on the wall. So there we go. Tip number 41, Sue. There you have it. So back to your original question, right? Bursting to get your speaking business started. The problem or the question is, what do I start with? Should I be launching into marketing? Do I focus on getting bookings? Well, the answer to the question is, let's start with number one, right?
Yeah.
Is it worth it? What kind of life do you want? Do everything must flow from, the answer is, pay the fee of feasibility. Is it worth it to try? And by the way, like, this is what I'm saying is, hey, maybe we don't call it a business straight away.
Mm.
Do you follow? Maybe that's another answer to your question. Because if you look, by word, the way we wrote it in the book, the way you asked the question is, I'm bursting to get my speaking business started. You know how I always do this? Oh, Sue, maybe you need to ask a better question.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
So what if we said instead, now let's go to the 4 bullets, right? Hey, Sue, instead of getting your business started, how about we just move you from monetizable skill set to income earning hobby?
Mm.
Let's do that. Right?
Yes.
And so I'm just gonna stop here and let you talk, because I think I've set it up and I'm stringing the pearls. I'm really happy with what's going on in this tip right here.
Yeah, I really like revisiting that, of going back a little bit, where in those 4 steps do I sit? Does anyone else sit? Are we just getting started? And so, as you pointed out, that shift, looking at that shift from monetizable skill set to that income earning hobby. And the beauty of doing that, if we then ask the question, is it worth it? It makes it less intimidating, I think, and we can be a little more strategic in terms of how do we do that, bridge that jump.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to screen sharing here to help us out, Sue, for people that are coming on board. I just want to, I want to remind people that the question that Sue led off the topic, and we're getting into the semantics, right? But bursting to get my speaking business started. I just love the way it sets up our whole section, right? So do I start with marketing, or do I start with What do I do? Right? Getting bookings, or, right? What's the difference between getting bookings? We're not even ready. The truth is, right? This is the point of this tip. We're not ready to answer these questions yet. We might not even be ready to ask, should I get the business started? Right? So that's why I introduced this 4-step framework, a chronological. Let's start with, hey, where are we on these 4 steps? I'm going to tell you right now, Sue, I'm here. I'm not even here. Does that make sense? Because I don't call my business a business, first of all. I don't call it a speaking business. Even if I did call it a business, I wouldn't call it a speaking business, because it's not 100%, not even near 100% of my income that comes from speaking. A lot of times I'll speak for free as a function of marketing to get coaching or training, right? So I have a soft skills business, and speaking is on the menu, right? And I do get consistent engagements throughout the year. I'm paid to speak several times a year, right? But my business doesn't stand up on speaking and speaking alone revenue. Right? Okay. So now I get, so like you said before, when I went to screen sharing, now it really puts this question in perspective. Well, is it worth it? Well, for me, with teaching public speaking at San Diego State and getting some speaking gigs throughout the year, and also wanting to coach and consult, and right, is it worth it for me to make it just a speaking only business? For me, the answer is no. Right? I have to meet all 12 of these accountabilities in my business, but I'm not going to call it a speaking business and pigeonhole myself, right? When it just comes to speaking, I'm right here. I might have a practice, or it's one of the things on the menu in this business, but I don't even call my coaching business a business. I call it a practice, because I don't have employees. I don't have all the systems that I need. I don't have all the processes that I need. I know where I'm deficient. I know where I'm growing towards, right? So I hope that this is helpful to see where we are in this progression, but also to start answering the question, where do I start? Well, you start here, right? You are the owner of your own professional services corporation. Even if you only have one client, a job, right? You own, the 100% of those services that you are exchanging to that employer. So now that employer is trying to meet these accountabilities in their business, right? And you're trying to rise up the org chart, right? Be noticed and seen and heard. And so is public speaking going to do that for you? Or do you have some other type of business? Maybe you're a graphic designer. Maybe you're an architect. Maybe you're a sustainability consultant. Like, D. Davis, who joins us every now and then on a Friday. Hey, D, if you're out there, right? Are you with me? And then you're going to use public speaking to build that business, right? So just wanted to, use these visuals here. I think Stella did such a great job designing our book. It always is pleasant to me to take a look at the design and how things are laying out, and see the cartoon Sue on a jovial Friday. But what else do we got in terms of comments or questions on tip number 1? We're just getting started, and I wrestle with these. And by the way, I'm going to prompt you more specifically. Did you like the rant, the vetting, because in the first paragraph I said, it's a little therapeutic. You're like, oh, nice word there, Jeff. Maybe. And then I actually went and proved it, right? Ready? Here we go again. I'm going to self-administer some therapy on a jovial Friday. The very first accountability in any business is deciding if the business is worth it. Worth what, you ask? Well, is it worth the time, money, effort, fits, starts, setbacks, failures, roadblocks, speed bumps, competitors, criticisms, liabilities, pressures, unknowns, and the resulting emotions like stressed, obsessed, worried, overwhelmed, insecure, frustrated, impatient, dreadful, powerless, and jealous or envious? Is it worth all that? All right. I feel so much better now. Ooh, shake it off. All right. That's like this. I'm singing the solopreneurial blues, right? I'm like very jovial and silly about this, but like it's true that there's pain. It's true that there's fear. It's true that there's fits. It's true that there's starts. It's true that there's frustrations trying to build your own practice, trying to do a business, right? All of that's true. That's like that. It's literally true that this is therapy for me, to be jovial on a Friday and think about 99 bottles of beer in the wall in my head while we cover these 12 accountabilities on the wall that I struggle with myself.
Yeah. And then to that though, Jeff, what we were talking about before, where we were saying or pay the fee of feasibility, but and ask the question why are you doing this? But for you, where you are today, would you say that you are living out your purpose.
Yes. I
Because
mean,
and it helps you, and we talk about it so often in the integrity game framework. It's helped you paying the fee of feasibility. You've answered the question of why. Now when you feel that pressure, you feel that frustration, you get those roadblocks, it keeps you going.
they aren't roadblocks anymore. It's not frustration anymore. It's the natural course of events to do what I'm supposed to. It shifts everything, and yeah, Sue, like I have to like keep my head up here, because like when to hear somebody like you say, Jeff, you are living your purpose, right? Yeah, I've been hustling. I've been pushing the boulder uphill, for so long. It's so hard and emotional for me to acknowledge that I may have arrived anywhere, because my MO is go, 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 push, push, push. But I have to like kind of slow down and say, well, yeah, I am. Whoa, that's a little strange. Like I'm helping young learners, at my alma mater find their voice, and I'm communicating belief in our future, and then I'm promoting the integrity game, and it's not. I don't know how to explain it. So like, yeah, it's emotional, right? But it took a while to get here, and I want to be on. And by the way, I am living my purpose, but that doesn't mean I'm still fulfilled my potential.
No.
Okay. So
No,
to
you're
go back
moving
to
forward.
integrity game terms, there's still more mission, more destiny, more vision, to achieve. But yeah, every day it's easy. It's getting easier. It's getting wonderful, to attract things that fit my purpose, and to gracefully say no to things that I used to like enable others, and sell myself short or get myself on tangents, and I still do plenty of it, but it's everything that shows up right now. It's like, yep, that fits. No, that doesn't fit, and it's just effortless right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the fear and the frustrations are gone, because I know I'm on point. I know I'm on purpose, but it's hard to settle into that, because I'm so wired to go, go, go. But the point I want to make here, to get it back to our tip. And by the way, if anybody can see out there, I've got the tiny URL if you wanted to join us live and get into the conversation. Is a lot of times when we hear the term feasibility study, right? When I hear the term feasibility, conduct a feasibility study. What do you think I do? Like, nothing, not me. Feasibility study. I think numbers and statistics and research and analytical stuff. A feasibility study, survey and research and crunch numbers and do projections and all this stuff that is not my natural instinct to do, right? So there's that. Like if Vipa were here, Vipa would say, hey, how many hotels are in the marketplace? How many of them are branded? How many of them are independent? What do the statistics show? Let's go to the association and find out what the industry data is for like a feasibility study. What's the socioeconomic climate? What's the political environment? What are interest rates at right now? What would my interest rates projected to be by the time the build is done? And do you know what I mean? Do you want to rent the hotel and run the franchise? You want to buy the hotel, own the land too? Feasibility study, like that's right. I understand all that stuff, but I don't want to do any of it. I'm not an analytical. You follow? So I just want to highlight, but it includes, when we say, is it worth it? It includes all of that. Okay. And also the things that I alluded to here. What kind of life do you want? How much money is it going to cost to have that life? So what kind of business do you want to build? How much money does this business need to pay you in order to give you this life that you want? And then what is all the work that you need to do in that business in order to get that? Or let's talk about the accountabilities. How many of them are you going to be performing on your own? How many of them do you need to delegate and hire into? Let's be clear about all of this. So now we're back to a situation where what you mentioned earlier is our first two sections were for speakers and non-speakers alike. And so, so too is section 5. We're talking about 12 accountabilities for any business. So these are some of the things. We have a lot of commentary as we set up the next 11 tips, but we're basically having fun with Org Chart 101, covering the 12 accountabilities. The first is pay the fee of feasibility, meaning the hard work. Do the hard work to be clear. is this worth it? You're not running from something else, right? And I guess I'll be a speaker, right? You're not fooling yourself into thinking that just because you can talk that you can speak, or that just because somebody's complimented you on something you've said that you're ready for a stage right now, or just because that you love helping people doesn't mean you've organized your thoughts into a persuasive package that gets people out of their chair, getting 100 people that wants to help people, rather than just on and on and on and on and on and on and on, right? You know, like I had fun with my comedy about all the reasons that people become coaches, all the reasons that people become speakers, right? Repurposed content, same thing, right? I really like helping people. Oh, okay. So if you're a speaker,
yeah.
you're like, hey, can we talk about 12 accountabilities? If you want to get it to a business, right? If not, cool. Let's be all right with monetized skill set. Let's be okay with income earning hobby. I'm totally cool to back to your original question. Yes, I am really, really like kind of comfortable at practice.
Yeah.
You know, and I keep telling myself I'm working towards a business, but I'm not putting any pressure on myself to get there tomorrow. Right? It might be another 10 years before I call my practice a business. But it's worth it to build it into a business because I've got a lot of reasons for that. We could talk about that, but right now, I'm comfortable at practice. I'm living my purpose, comfortable at practice. But I want to be honest, and jovial is the packaging for the honesty about how much I struggle with all 12 of these accountabilities and how much of a struggle it really is. And these are the struggles that are in front of me still as I move from practice to business. Will it be? I don't know if it'll ever be just a public speaking business, but you guys know what my business is. It's a soft skills business.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
So I'm building that. So all these accountabilities I struggle with, but I'm using public speaking. I use public speaking to build my soft skills practice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else? This is fun. Setting the table for our fifth section. There is always a little, hint of sadness because this is the last section. It's been so much fun this year. 41 tips down.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. So, well, what else is speaking? What else is happening in your world?
Oh, well, first of all, there's a comment from Bayon here. She says, a business makes the practice a legacy. Very cool. Yeah, it goes beyond something that just helps you. That's one of the points, is that for me to call it a business, it's got to help other people, not just me. It can't just be solopreneur. The business has to feed others, empower others, create income for others, etc. So I'm working on it. Stay patient with me, everyone. But thanks for that comment, Bayon. I've seen you've tried to chime in and out by phone, or I don't know if you can join us with your audio, but feel free to. But go ahead, Sue. What were you saying there?
Yeah, I was just opening it up more generally into you speaking, and you've mentioned that you're using that to expand your practice and using that as a channel. So just what are some of the things that you've been doing?
Just this week, a shout out to Jason Surya, who is a district advisor for First Command Financial in the Western region, Southern district. And he's I'm so proud of the guy. I love him so much. We've become great friends over the years through networking. I mean, well over 10 years ago, we met at a networking group that I started, and he took a chance and brought me onto his team when he was an individual contributor, when he was like in his 1, 2, 3 years. Just he was in transition where when you're becoming a financial advisor, they'll pay for you get like a stipend, or you get like salary, that you get like training wheel money. Do you know what I'm saying? Until you've like gotten to a certain level of production where you've proven yourself, and then you get off the training wheels, and now you're on your own, but your compensation, the amount that you make on your own productivity goes up. Does that make sense? Like there's a transitional phase. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to come up with the analogy. Like a draw. Like I remember when I was a recruiter, I had a draw against commission. Do you know what I'm saying? Where they would make sure I could pay my rent every week while I built up my pipeline and I did sales. And then once commissions would come in, I'd pay off my draw and then I'd get the rest. So my real compensation was the percentage of my productivity. But they'd give me a draw. They'd give me something to keep me alive and keep me eating, so I wasn't totally stressed. I could focus on doing a good job. So whatever the financial industry version of that is, where we'll give you a salary, we'll give you a desk. Oh, but once you get to a certain production level, you're going to want to go on your own. right? And then they become independent contractors rather than employees, and then their compensation structure. It's like that in real estate. There's different versions of this, right? Point being is that I was coaching Jason since then, and then he got, off the training wheels, became an individual contributor, rose within the ranks, became, one of the top producers, got recruited out of that organization to go to Prudential. They gave him, the keys to the car at Prudential to build his own team there. He ended up doing really well, got recruited back to his original company to take over the whole book of business from the retiring district advisor. So now he's got all these agents beneath him, and he's been competing for awards and recognition and all of this stuff. So I've been with him for over 10 years. So I set this up to say, like, we've gone golfing together. He was at my, son's football game, AJ's football game when he was 6 years old, 7 years old. You know what I mean? Like real solid, incredible relationship. So I just get a text message from him. Jeff, can you be at the Hilton 9 a.m. Tuesday morning? Like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, yes. And then, like, no questions asked. And then he texts, he's like, hey man, they're good. There's 1 to 3 year advisors. There's going to be about 30 of them. And that's all he had to say. And I'm like, oh, I'm delivering the integrity game at the hotel on Tuesday morning. No problem. We didn't even have to talk at all. So I went in and Tuesday morning this week, I went in and I delivered the integrity game to advisors that are in their 1 to 3 year for all of the Western regions. So it wasn't just the 1 to 3 years on his team, but there was other district advisors. And I remember standing next to Jason, and I was like, hey, Jason, do you compete with these guys? And he's like, yeah, I do. Yeah. Like they're all coming together, teaming on bringing their younger their younger team members and young advisors to this thing that apparently it had been in it was in Denver last year, and nobody wanted to go to Albuquerque this year. So Jason, my guy, stepped up and organized something for San Diego so they could all come to San Diego.
Right.
But here's what's cool is when I'm setting this all up, right? So now there's 30 new advisors in their 1 to 3 year. They've got to get invested in. They have to come together and have conference. They have to have the higher ups show support and give resources and train them and, indoctrinate them into the culture and remind them of their why to help military families, because it's financial advising through a former military bank. So they're mission driven, First Command Financial, military families, all the rah, and it's easy for me to incorporate that into the integrity game and use examples from my 10 years. Mm-hmm. But here's the deal is that Jason introduces me. Hey guys, I brought my coach. I didn't have to say a word other than deliver the content. I didn't have to sell myself. So number one, I'm speaking. So I'm making Jason look good. He's up there promoting me. He's like, I never thought I would need a coach. I always thought I knew it all. I know what I'm doing. I'm running circles when I look at my numbers. But when I hired a coach, everything took off, and he's doing all of this for me. So speaking, when you get introduced, like the person that introduces you, there's so much value there. And then his bosses were there and his peers were there. So now they're on his turf. He's like, hey, I'll organize it. I'll step up. I'll be a leader. Don't worry about Albuquerque or Denver. We're coming to San Diego. I'll make sure it's – and then he's like – and he calls me, right? Mm-hmm. So that this is an opportunity where he wants to shine. He wants to make an impression. He not only to give value to the younger people because he knows that the integrity game message and motivation, accountability, engagement, everything I stand for will help them. And he gets on and on and on. So it was just – I drove there. I spoke for 40 minutes. Shook some hands, and then I left. And but the impact was just huge. So I made him look good. His bosses, when I left, they're like, hey, great job. That was awesome. So now who knows? Maybe I'm going to Albuquerque next year when it shifts. Do you know what I'm saying? Or maybe they're going to say, Jason, who's your coach? Does he work, remotely? You net, right? So the ripple effect. But to not say, there's so many people that would say no, or, I have to check my calendar. I'm like, yes, 100%. Call me. It's just fun to step into this. People know they can call me anytime, anywhere. I will be anywhere I need to be, and I'll deliver a powerful talk that raises their credibility and helps them achieve what they want to achieve. I could show up at the integrity game anywhere, anytime, and it will help. And it's really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Hey, Bayan.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm happy on a Friday. I'm getting through another week of my wife out of town. She'll get back late tonight, like 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock at night. She'll come back from Costa Rica. But my wife's been to China. She's been to Brazil. She's been to Costa Rica. She's been to New Jersey. My wife's been traveling a lot this year. And so I always feel like champion when I get through a week of her.
A week
but
without
it's so much easier than it used to be. It used to be the kids were so small. I had 3 different drop-offs and 3 different pickups and three different schools. So, and Brody was in the car seat. So I'd have to like go and pull Brody out of the car seat, walk in, check in Abigail, come put Brody back in the car seat, go drop off it. Like I was exhausted by 9 o'clock, and then you'd have to stop your day at 2:15, 2:30 to go pick them all up again. And you know, those were the days. So it's not that hard anymore, but I've got muscle memory for feeling like a champion every time I survive. I mean, get through, I mean, win a week with my wife out of town. So Bayan, do you have any comments or questions about what we've covered today? I don't know how much you were able to pick up on, but we're introducing now, we're getting into the last section of the book, which is all about practice building. And this is for speakers, non-speakers alike, any practice. We're talking about 12 accountabilities that have to be met if you're going to build a practice, and definitely if you're going to build that practice into a business, right? But you're going to have a hard time getting to practice if you're not aware of all 12 of these accountabilities, and you're definitely not going to get to business or anything I'd feel comfortable calling a business if you don't have a demonstrative, proven ability to meet all 12 accountabilities. And I don't always myself, so I do the best I can with what I got. So I don't call it a business, I call it a practice. And you know, I'm comfortable but not satisfied. So that's what we're talking about. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to run this business? That's the very first place everybody should start. What kind of life do I want? Is this business worth it? Is this practice worth it? Is it worth it for me to do whatever it's going to take to build this in order to have the life I want? Will the work of doing this give me the life that I want? That's what our tip is all about today. Comments,
I like
questions?
the questions or the answers, because I felt like I've said some of those things. So if you're in that place where you feel like you want to be a speaker, and then you're answering those questions, it's one of the questions that you were saying, or the answer that you were saying, and you want to dig deeper, what are some questions you can ask yourself to find the real answer of why you want to be a speaker, or whether it's worth it or not for you?
Yeah, well, Sue, I'll let you answer that. To me, the answer is obvious, right? Do you want to answer that, or do you want me to?
Well, I'd be going back to our first section, the integrity game.
Ding, 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 ding,
and
ding, 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 ding.
And working
I'm so happy I was right about how obvious that was. I was nervous there for just for a half breath, but I'm like, is the obvious? The answer is that obvious. Play the integrity game. What's the meaning of life? What's the meaning? Go ahead. So you could explain it. Go for it, Sue.
Well, yeah. To your question, Bayan, I'd be going. So if you decide where you fit, in those 4 steps, are you just monetizing a skill set, or have you got some regularity to your speaking and you want to move into more of that true practice space? Then you take that, put that at the top of your integrity game framework, and then start working through each of those 10 points and us answering those questions. And then that's going to help you move forward. And then you loop back and do it all again and go, well, okay, now that I've got through to maybe shifting from a monetized hobby and you want to move into a practice, you run all of that through again, because your answers are going to change.
Yeah. So just to create some visual support, Sue, we remember that these are the 10 points on the integrity game model, which converted to the first 10 tips of our book, section 1, playing the integrity game. And you were doing it beautifully with your hands. I was admiring your nonverbal there, Sue, because you have this framework burned into your brain, right? And so the idea is, you can see here that in this example, I am the subject of this integrity game. So when I answer these questions, I'm going to answer globally for my life as a whole. But what Sue is suggesting to us, that I wanted to support her on visually, is that we could take Jeff Klu back out and we could just put speaking business in, or I could put Jeff's marriage in, or we could put Jeff as dad, or buying this house. I could just put home purchase. Now I can say, well, what's the purpose of buying that home, and what are the competitive advantages of buying that home? What's the potential of this investment, and what are my goals that I need to achieve in order to buy this home, and what's my strategy in purchasing this home, whether it's financial or otherwise, right? Is it owner occupied, or is it buy and hold, or flip it? Or you guys understand? So Sue, am I helping you out here and I'll let you continue finishing, but
well, I
go
guess
ahead.
it's back to Bion. Bion, is that
Yeah.
helpful to maybe reframe where you, like, the position of where you are now to where you want to be? You put that at the top, so where Jeff was just showing the framework and removing himself, and you put whatever that shift is, then you run that through that filter.
I thought Bion was saying,
So-
if we're answering for one of these reasons, and obviously that's not strong enough, then what questions can we ask to get more solid? Is that right, Bion? And we were suggesting play the integrity game. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Okay, so I guess on that list that you just had up,
I can bring it back up if you want.
one, it says I want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like one of the reasons I wanted to speak aligns with that, is I want to help people because I struggled with something myself that I could talk about, and if I talk about it, then somebody else is going to hear it. Kind of like Oprah and talking about her story and how it's impacted so many women around the world that have experienced similar things as her.
Yeah.
Mine would be like anxiety. So what I don't understand is, why is that not strong enough? And then how do I play the integrity game? Exactly that.
Yeah. Well, it's by itself, it's not. But like, let's say, like, here's the integrity game. Here's the prompts, right? So now we would just use the integrity game to strengthen it. Say, all right, well, who do you want to help? Let's identify. Let's come over here to this question, and let's identify. Let's get very clear about who you want to help specifically, right?
Okay.
And now let's make sure, like, why. I would ask, why do you want to help people? What's the beyond the obvious, and in addition to the obvious, what's the purpose of helping people? Right? I want to help people. We all want to help people, but what's the purpose of helping people? Ultimately, one-on-one, I would get you to the point where you'd have to be honest about how you're helping yourself by helping people. So we'd have to peel layers of the onion and help you with that piece of it. Do you follow? Right? But to get that tethered to the real deep depthful why you want to help others is being honest about how much it helps yourself, and being really autobiographical about who are you on this planet? What's the purpose of your life? What's the meaning of your life? Now, what are your competitive advantages in helping people? And, you have the potential to help how many people? Or do you understand? So we could use this framework to take this general vague, answer, right, and really fortify it and retrofit it and make it something that you can build speeches and meet other accountabilities of practice building. If you've got answers to integrity game questions, you'll know where you're marketing yourself to, what types of events you want to speak at, where do the people that you want to serve go and hang out, and what are you doing to be in front of them, and it answers every other question when you attach the integrity game to this. Go ahead, Sue.
Jeff, can I jump in? And I'd add to that, because one of Bion, one of the things that I've found personally about that integrity game framework is putting almost two sets side by side. So to Jeff's point, where he's taken what he was talking about in terms of the why and running that through the framework, what came to me is also running another framework with your story at the top and running that through. And then when you put the two together, you come up with just something so powerful that it helps you to really absolutely nail where you want to be and why you want to do that. And you just generate that internally, that it comes out of you naturally. Does that help?
Yeah.
So I think to run your story through that framework, that would just help you enormously. Yeah.
Yeah.
You actually have an experience of that, like the first time, and I don't know. I don't care if it takes me 20 years or 100 years, but like one day the world will know, and one day I'll find a better way to explain it. So it's just easy to explain. I don't know how the integrity game works. Just play. No, yeah, we're a little bit better than that. But like I'm remembering, you're like, why are we playing the integrity? What did this have to do with anything? You're like, hang on, give it a chance, right? But all of a sudden, it creates reticular activation and it eliminates the bright and shiny syndrome and squirrel and right? Like when you're getting clear about who you are and why you're awesome and what what's possible in your life and what you would need to achieve to get on that road and taking the time to be strategic and the vulnerability to be strategic and committing to things. Oh my goodness, you stop wasting time. It makes you totally more efficient. You start to notice everything that you want, right? When you've been clear about the answers to these integrity game questions. So you already have an experience of that. So
I feel like,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go.
I feel like I played the integrity game and then I got aligned and then I went and I broke up some of the things that didn't align with my integrity game.
Right.
And then it's almost like now I feel lost again because I haven't gone to the direction I wanted to go to. It's almost like now I have to play it again.
Yeah.
And then I have to play it again and I have to play it again. It's like, it's it's almost like a practice.
Like a business plan, like you update it based on, right? So instead, like I would just tweak a little bit. Instead of saying I have to play again, the good news is you don't have to start all over again. You just have to update what you're playing. So that's why I screen share and I show, right? And this is from 2022, so this is 2 years old. But the idea is, let me just show it again. Do you see my 90-day challenge workbook, my integrity game workbook, right? Mm-hmm. So this is like the notes that I've taken on the keynote portion of it. This is on the keynote portion of it. And even this page right here is the keynote portion of it. So when I do the keynote, I just go to page 4. I introduce the 10 points. If I add a workshop to the keynote, right? So now instead of speaking for 30 to 40 minutes, now I'm speaking for 90 minutes. Then I just pick one of these doors to knock on and I go deeper on one of these doors. But when it comes to the 90-day challenge and my all-star interviews, we did one earlier this week. It was great. Sue, wasn't the all-star session this week fantastic? All fantastic. The people that were popped. Yeah, it's like It feels like something's growing here right before our eyes, right? And my point is that this workbook is now I'm able to populate, topic by topic. So when I do an all-star session, I interview subject matter experts about the topic at hand. We usually unearth a recommended reading. There's nuggets that emerge within the session, but then here's me, and it's draft, right? To your point, right? You don't have to play it again. You just have to refine a draft. Does that make sense? So I draft the purpose statement, and now at the moment I drafted this was true. So now all I need to do is get in the practice of, like you said, practice is every 3 months, let's say, or every 30 days, or anytime there's a life-changing event that happens, or you know what I mean? Something that I have to stop and say, wait, does this integrate or does this repel, or does this go or does this not go? Do I make room for this in the game or do I give a polite no? I could come back here and remind myself what was true and ask myself, is this still true? Have I acquired more gifts, developed more gifts? Is anything different about my vision, my mission, or my objective? So I don't have to write this anymore. I just take this sentence out and put the new sentence in. So I just want everybody to know that the hardest part is playing the first time. But after that, it's just updating, right? It's just updating. Like, these are the goals by 12/31/22. So now, what do I want to achieve by 12/31/24? So, in my journal, I've got my, this year's goal setting. But I always have this up open on my computer to show the example, right? Does that make sense, Mayan?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I guess,
cool.
Yeah, I should let people know that if you want to get access to the 90-day challenge and you want to learn more about, I'm going to find where we have it in here. Sue, your link is in here somewhere. How about, right there, right? There we go. If you want to access the all-star sessions that we do every Wednesday in the fall, I interview subject matter experts about one of the points on the integrity game model. Those recordings go into the 90-day challenge, which is in the arena in our membership site. I can screen share and show what that's all about, but it's free to attend a live all-star session, just like it's free to attend these that we do every Friday. But we want you to register. We want to know you're coming. So you can go to integritygame.com/Sue, and you'll already see your ability to register for next week's session, which is with Ellie Shoja, who is a celebrity ghostwriter, and she's, all things book and voice and word, but she's actually just like, it's hard to put her into any one category because she's like mystical, and I learn from her every time she arrives, every time I interact with her, whether she's doing human design or she's talking about the oneness of the universe, or the logistics of book publishing, or the egos of celebrities and how to keep them in check. And I just learn from her all the time. So if you want to check that session out, that's next week. And then we're going to keep going all the way through November until the 90-day challenge is done. We're more than a third of a way in to the 90-day challenge. This is for me, the 90-day challenge, this is day 37 by on 36 days, no alcohol for me, and taking care of myself. I'm eating right. I'm exercising. I've shaved some pounds. So I want to be a product of the product I talked about with Sue before we got the recording or the live stream started today. So we're in 90-day challenge season, and I'm a big fan of this integrity game thing. It's just slowly and surely we're growing it into a thing. One day people are going to be saying, hey, have you played the integrity game? No, what's that? Oh, it's this 10-point model, and you just answer the questions. Really? It sounds easy. Well, it sounds easy, but it's not. Well, here, try it out. How can I learn more? Here's the book. Here's the link. Here, check it out. 90-day challenge. And it's going to be a thing. Playing the integrity game is going to be a thing. Time for me to update my game. Time for you to play the game. Get in the game, update your game. Get in the game, update your game. Share your answers with an integrity game certified coach. Making accountability non-threatening, one game at a time. All the stuff. What else? Oh, drum roll, please. Here we are. We've made it. Look at the clock. Oh my goodness. Last call.
Fantastic.
Yeah, last call. Comments, questions, jokes, riddles, haikus, limericks, or expressions of gratitude. Sue, what do you got?
Look, just always fun. I say that every week, but it's true. It's fun, Bayan. Lovely to have you along and be able to share with you hopefully something that will help you, and certainly I love being able to share the difference it has made for me and the confidence and how it's helped me in my journey too. So yeah, lots of fun to do that. Just lots of gratitude. Really good. Really good.
Cool. Yeah. Likewise. Bayan, it's always good to see you. Anything else? Like last call, comments, questions from anybody else?
Thank you both. It's always good to see both of you as well.
All right. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Have a great weekend. Congratulate me when my wife gets back into town, like at 11 o'clock tonight. And we're going to keep it going. Tip number 42 next week, to the sound of 99 bottles of beer on the wall. 12 accountabilities on the wall. 12 accountabilities. Take one down, pass it around. Next week, there's 11 more accountabilities on the wall, and we'll meet them head on, 1 week at a time. All right, everyone. Have a great Friday. We'll see you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.